Spaceship building can be quite overwhelming, especially the big ones, the long boys. This video is going to be a step-by-step guide to your own giant spaceship, making it especially easy to navigate from the inside as well. Because the last thing you want to do is get lost in your ship, especially when you just want to get up, walk out, and easily leave your ship already. Or just find all your crafting tables, research labs, everything straight up without wandering through the ship for hours. As the centerpiece, we're going to take the Star Eagle, but you can actually start straight from the scratch or adapt any ship you want. The reason I keep the Star Eagle is because it has the tokamak reactor, which is one of the strongest one you can get in the beginning without leveled starship design or anything. The most important hotkeys you need to learn in the very beginning are G for adding. So you hover over a port, press G. That's your add key, and you can actually add straight up where you want it to be. And then if you're moving parts, you need to learn F and R, because I can select this here right now, and then with F, go down, and with R, go up. So I can easily align it here, or I go down to align it below. And then last but not least, it's the copy, where you select or hover over an object, hold Control, and with G, you can duplicate the object. Now let's start building. First, let's select what we want to keep, and that is the drives on the side. Control, everything, pull off, and the same goes on the right, because we're going for this enterprise-ish kind of look. We're gonna keep. Also, because we can't build these rank 4 starship design engines. Same kind of goes for the shield generator, so that comes all the way back, and also for the tokamak reactor. Because to build a better one, you need way more levels and way more starship design. Then the last thing we're going to take is the cargo holds. Yes, the cargo holds, because they're huge, 1,000 cargo holds. In comparison, I can right now build the 320 max or 300 down here. At the very end, I'm ripping off all the weapons as well, since the weapon area of this ship is quite insane and fits the Enterprise design very well. Now the rest can actually go away, because we're also not going to be keeping the cockpit. We're going to work with a different cockpit. So cockpit goes away and everything around it. Now, I know it looks very sad to actually delete your whole ship, but no worries, we got this. The graph drive will also be made better. Now we're going to begin our build with a cockpit. That's why I had to land on the moon of Titan to actually get the Kappa C3 bridge. Yes, the Viking cockpit is better with 4 crew spaces. This one only has 2, but we're going for aesthetics here. And the good thing is it also has 6 docking ports to put things on. And one very important thing is we want to easily get into the cockpit without getting lost in the ship. And for this, we're going to be building a very long neck. That's the Nova Galactic Engineering Build 321. Comes straight there, so you can essentially walk in one through. We can take this and flip it with Z to adapt for now here, but it's probably going to come a little bit lower. So we go with F, one lower, for this swan neck belly design the Enterprise has. Now to the important part, because you want to be able to have your crafting stations right close here. For that, you go for the all-in-one berth 2.1, and that can be everything. An armory, captain's quarters. I prefer to have straight up next to our cockpit the science lab. That one gets attached. So we can go from science lab here. Both can enter into the cockpit. Now in the lower engineering bay, and here choose a middle port with G. You're going for more. And why do you choose the middle port? Because weirdly, as you can see, A and B, they align bottom and front. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit stupid. So the captain's quarter will align front. The infirmary will align back. So right here, we can get our captain's quarters, because we need a captain's quarters right next to the front, which on the other side for symmetry gets followed up by the living quarters for our crew members, and we need 2, so perfectly 2.1 living quarters attached. And we could also add a workshop for even more crafting benches, and that one gets followed up on the left side by an infirmary for crafting medicinal stuff attached. Now we get the whole big ass hat portion of our Enterprise done. Now for the rounded look, we'll later swap over to a different starship yard to put the finishing touch on it, because when it comes down to structural elements, they look very bad here. The Stroud structural elements and the tail ones are so much better for that rounded, nice look. Let's focus on functional first. And that would be the beauty of the Enterprise, especially with the drives pointing upwards and having their graph boost out at the back. And for this, we can perfectly use the cargo holders. Yep. So we're going to extend the whole neck of the Enterprise a bit, but we're going to extend it on a lower level. For that, first, we need to flip the landing bay so it points forwards, that we could actually adapt further things here on the landing bay as well. I mean, you can have a ladder go up, and for that, we're changing the landing bay. Delete the old one, select down here, the NG6 landing bay. Why is that? Because it has this ladder axis that goes up. So right now, you would go with a ladder into the engineering bay, and then you could straight up walk into the Cabot C3 bridge. You're straight away in, but it also gives us this lower neck portion of the Enterprise that we have been talking about earlier, and we can now adapt further on this for the cargo holders and the engines. For that, we're building our personal armory here in the back. Yep, our personal armory in case you just want to hoard weapons into the ship. Also looks pretty cool to actually have an armory back here. That armory gets on top of the reactor because we're going to kind of hide it in the middle of the ship. Because why would the reactor be exposed, right? Why would I build it like somewhere at the end? Now we're gonna put like some structural components around it. That gets connected here to the rest of the ship by a standard galactic storeroom. So you get from down here up into the bridge or over the storeroom down into your armory. Now we're gonna already attach the storerooms left and right. We might make the ship longer, but I just want to see how it would look. We're gonna adapt the cargo to the left and the right already. You're gonna go over here, press G for structural, and now we currently only have the Nova bracers to put the drives on. They look ugly as hell, and we're gonna replace them as we go for the overall aesthetic of the ship. But for now, just put the bracers on so we can go for the overall look. There's 3 of them. They look trash. Don't worry, we're replacing them. Control G to copy them. Then you delete the landing gear of the drives, select everything, and with R, we go higher to put the drive on top. Now we also make this graph drive, I think 1 longer for the aesthetics. But for now, we'll keep it this way. Go for the other side, do the same. Landing gear gets delete. Landing gear gets deleted. Everything's selected. Pull over. R on the top. And we have it here for the more or less a little bit Enterprise-ish look. But we really have to get rid of that ugly thing. Now let's take our shield, double F down and put it back here. Our EM lasers, hard them up all the way until I can finally mount them on the top drives here. It's actually quite useful. You can take your rockets. You can take your rockets and your lasers. Select this for now and go for a weapon mount left, weapon mount right. We can already get them on. It's all about just putting the weapons on right now, so we could decide to go for the other star yard for better components to finish the whole look of the ship. Pull this down. Already got everything nicely going, but it looks a little bit non-smooth, like we're missing the round edges, and we hate that. Also, we get 5 errors like ship is missing a docker, ship is missing a graph drive, just has too few landing gears. And that's what we need to fastly put in so we can actually navigate this. The biggest possible beginning graph drive is the R3000 Alpha with 23 thrust. Very easy to adapt right at the back. And then you also could put 2 Titan 550 HE tanks right next to it. Done. And the last thing that we need right now is landing gears and a docker. The problem with the docker is docker modules need to be on the outside edge of the ship. As you notice, my graph drives are higher than the docker, which is a little bit weird. So the best way to get that in for the now solution is to put 1 big docker on top with 1 Nova Galactic storeroom below. No worries, we'll make this disappear. This is all just ugly now until we've swapped star yards. Now we need a landing gear. So I have to put some landing gear to the left and to the right on all the sides that we could lift off. Now, that looks silly. And the landing gear is also not at the points where I really want it to be. but it will fly off to the next yard. Now, you're not a beauty yet, but functioning, it does already work great. We talked about it. You walk in, board your Star Eagle. You definitely have to rename it to the Enterprise. And this is once the hatch down into your armory below, but you could also just run straight through into the cockpit. We exactly wanted that you're able to get this gigantic Enterprise-ish feeling cockpit, and up here, turn around, you get your connection into the infirmary with a pharmaceutical lab, with a research lab. You have here our pharmaceutical lab as well. On the right side, it goes straight over into spacesuit workbench, weapon workbench, industrial workbench. And down here are the living quarters for your companions. Plus, you get this nice engineering bay again. And then on the other side, as you plummet down, your captain's quarters. The very nice lounge. And this is your storage crate. Now let's fly this baby off. Our next stop is Volley 2. And then Volley Alpha and to Neon. Here, right before you enter the city, which is, by the way, gigantically standing on the water, you get this tiny office. Ship services, thank you very much. And they actually have Teo parts and Stroud parts. And the same goes for your structural shenanigans, where you just have way more choices to go with. And now let's delete the dockers because they were damn ugly. You can also get the whole shebang with the fuel tanks and the graft drive off. And yes, we'll have to find a spot for the graft drive. That's not a problem. And last but not least, the stupid, ugly looking Nova bracers. Because now go back to your cargo hold, press G. We've called something the Stroud engine bracer B, which in my case works perfect for what I want to do. You got like this little triple hub, one of the better structural components for this. There is one better one from Hopetown that looks blockish, but it's more what you actually prefer. So we get this looking vastly better than before. Now the booty of the ship can actually be the graft drive. So we could put it back here. Still have to consider if we want to just prolong the ship by one more or not. What we can definitely do is we can pull these out, as we said before. Press G here. Select this. Hold, duplicate, hold, duplicate. And then do the same though. Duplicate and then flip. 1, 2. And I think we'll need a 3. Yep. Select this. G. Other side, and then 1, 2, 3 as well. So we get the whole drive just a bit longer, looking a bit more majestic, like this whole like super graft drive. But it's a bit close to the head. So I want this one further back. Keep in mind though, your ship is not allowed to be over 80 meters long unless you modded that. So we can pull this one back potentially. Let's also delete the landing gear because I really didn't like the positions of this yet. We'll see what we do with that. So in order to get these one back, we'd have to just, this is the Nova Galactic Armory, extend by another component. And here we get the perfect structural component. Now let's select the bottom of the drive, pull it one back, and everything that's supposed to be on top of that. And here. So we have this nice space that we can actually round down the hood of the ship because we get quite some good Teo components for that. Pull everything back. Now we get everything longer. We get the swan neck, and for some reason I deleted the landing bay. No worries though. They have the N6 landing bay as well, which is the one with the ladder up. Get that back for our rounded swan neck, and I think the landing bay really fits here well with a swan neck design to make that work. Now we have to put our fuel tanks somewhere, and I do actually like the Ulysses fuel tank because it's giving this nice rounded look. We can adapt them there or on the back, and it just, you know, just fits perfectly to the ship. Press F to go one down. Look, that's nice. Just look like it's a structural component of the ship and not something foreign going on. Also, it's shielded, so I'm going for the role-playing element. Now, our ship is 40 meters here, and we're 40 meters there. So we're actually perfectly long. We can't put anything longer. I mean, we can put something at the end here, so as a kind of tail of the Enterprise if you want to. You get the aft top, you can flip that to be the bottom as well, put it here, then G, and we're going for the tail for top again. You get kind of like a rounded ending to your ship. Now we do need to round the sides a bit, but we also do need landing gear. So actually the Pinpoint G3 landing gear is kind of like very well made for this. Fits together with the HE, and you can quietly nicely align it there. Alternatively, we pull the HE tanks one up front and actually put the Pinpoint landing gear there, but that would like kind of thick boy up our ship, and I didn't like that one. So I do prefer this Pinpoint landing gear, despite it giving us a little bit the forked look down on this one, but it's something we can't really avoid. Now there's the option to pull these two actually one back, take the mid bracer that we talked about earlier and just double copy in. Truly end on the noses again. And then we could pull the landing gear all the way back to the aft as well. So now here you get that landing gear, and now here with the aft you get that landing gear as well. But hell, ship has too few landing gears, so we're missing one more. I do have a solution for this though, and that would be taking our whole drive with a cargo holder collected, and we could pull it one up. Puts it like a little bit more elevated. And then we could technically put another landing gear below. That makes the whole portion on the side look a bit beefier, which I really don't like the way how that's rounded, but it would put us to the point where we have enough landing gear. The problem is we only miss one more, and I would have to uglify my ship to really get that in. Alternatively, we could delete the AG tanks, even though I really like them, and then right here, you can put in mid landing gear, followed up by the front landing gear. Same goes on the other side. You do mid landing gear and then also front landing gear. That gives us all the landing gear we need, but we also need spaces for the fuel tanks now. Health, I'll be damned. We could remove the shrouds from the bottom here, left and right. And there is a world to... There's a world to then attach the HE tanks right below. 70 and 70. To make it part of the drive. Right? Gonna make things work. What I would rather think about is pulling my shield generator one back. I could even pull it 3 or 4 back, so all the way to the booty. But I want to round up this so it kind of descends down. Now for the sides, we can take the Stroud Cap A4 top. You see that? And this one you can copy, and we flip this around until it fits on the other side as well. This one also should be able to go below. I'm not sure if we have enough space. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So like that gives it the more rounded look to the back. We copy this. 1, 2, 1. Yeah. Now we get this more rounded Enterprise top look, right? And we just need something here in the middle that would give us the final smoothness. And that's where the Stroud aft top comes in play. And ta-da! We get the rounded head more or less into the back, long 80 meters. Now the last thing that's missing is a docker, and the problem is it needs to be on the outside of the ship, and if I put it here, that would be the outside of the ship. But obviously it looks super ugly, and if I put it on top, well, it looks even uglier. And no, it can't be in this position or that position because that's not the outside of the ship. So the only way to truly do it is delete a landing gear on the side here and then put the docker there. On top, you can actually put a structural component so it doesn't look that ugly with a Stroud cowling. So at least we have something which ruins a little bit the aesthetics of the ship. But from the left, it looks perfect. From the right and bottom, it's kind of like, eh. But you know, it's being blocked from the top. Last thing you really want to do is select everything, J in, and then we're going to adapt the colors. We're going to go for black here. We're going to go for full white everywhere else. Yep, the super white. And last but not least, we're taking a red, fully saturated color for the accents, and then save the whole thing. Perfection. Now let's take this for a spin and walk you through the ship one final time. Welcome to the Enterprise 2 in all her beauty. Looking plenty good, especially the bottom part I'm really proud of. That was way better this time. The front part also good. The only annoying thing is the docker down there, as you can see, but nice thin swan neck with a landing port and everything. And you hold your E button to get out of your pilot seat. Submoon. And as always, the whole thing super easy to navigate. We can open the hatch on the top to have here our crafting stations. That's infirmary, workbench, research lab. That's also for pharmacy and for ill people. Down here is your captain's quarters. And then to the right, you get your workbenches and everything. So you can craft for industrial, for weapons, for spacesuits. Down here, your crew quarters. And if you want to get out of the ship, you just head down the stairs, open the hatch, and you can just walk out of the ship straight through. Plus, at the very end, we talked about it, there is our armory, which also leads then to the docking ports. So if anyone actually wants to breach into your ship, they're going to straight up land into your armory and you can just blast them away. And yes, here you can keep your spacesuits and your weapons and everything in. Be aware, for some weird reasons, sometimes this glitches out and just vanishes. So be careful what you actually put on those mannequins. Maybe put just some things in that makes it look good, you know, some white gear, just in case it bugs out. Ladies and gentlemen, which ship are you going to build? Exactly the same one, or are you going to go for your own creation? Post some links, pictures, descriptions, what you want to do in the comments below. And if you're also looking for 20 secrets that I've uncovered in my 100 hours of Starfield, there you go. Enjoy.